These aren't your typical comic book bad guys. Invincible delivers villains that will make you question everything. Kicking off our list, a villain who consistently catches viewers off guard, Seismic. Yes, he might appear as if he stepped out of a B-movie from the golden age of cheesy sci-fi, complete with those hilariously clunky earthquake-generating gauntlets. But beneath that campy exterior lies a surprisingly potent threat. Seismic has an uncanny talent for choosing the most symbolically charged battlegrounds. His debut saw him nearly toppling Invincible amidst the stoic faces of Mount Rushmore, a battle that was as visually striking as it was destructive. Then he returned with a vengeance, amplifying his powers and conjuring magma monsters to wreak havoc upon the Washington Monument. This wasn't just about wanton destruction, it was a deliberate attack on the very symbols of American power. What truly sets Seismic apart is his sheer resilience and the raw, unpredictable nature of his abilities. He's not just shaking the ground, he's manipulating the planet's core, unleashing seismic forces that can level cities. And let's not forget, this is a man who casually shrugged off a plunge into a freaking volcano. That kind of survival instinct, coupled with his persistent ability to evolve and amplify his powers, makes Seismic a villain who consistently defies expectations and deserves far more respect than his retro aesthetic might suggest. Okay, so we're veering into collective villain territory, but the Flaxans absolutely deserve a spot on this list. They're not a singular antagonist, but a relentless recurring threat that Invincible and the Guardians of the Globe are forced to contend with time and again. Imagine a technologically advanced alien race, armed to the teeth with weaponry far beyond Earth's capabilities, deploying legions of soldiers with a singular goal: planetary conquest. Sounds terrifying, right? Now, add a bizarre, almost comical twist. Their physiology is fundamentally incompatible with Earth's environment. The moment they step foot on our planet, their aging process accelerates to an absurd degree. We're talking about a lifespan that shrinks from decades to mere days, sometimes even hours. They literally crumble into dust as they fight. It's the ultimate use it or lose it scenario, a desperate race against time where every second counts. Picture this, a horde of battle-hardened warriors wielding cutting-edge technology, their faces contorted not just in rage, but in the agonizing awareness of their rapidly approaching demise. It's a constant, visceral reminder of the fragility of life, even for the most technologically advanced beings. This ticking clock element adds a layer of frantic desperation to their attacks, making them unpredictable and dangerously reckless. They're not just fighting to conquer, they're fighting to exist, to achieve their objective before they cease to be. Talk about a high-stakes invasion. These blue-skinned behemoths, the Reaniman, are a terrifying blend of raw power and calculated intellect, like the Hulk's angrier, more scientifically twisted cousins. They're not just muscle-bound brutes, they're walking, talking, cloning factories of destruction. Their physical attributes are staggering, incredible strength that rivals some of the most powerful beings in the Invincible universe, coupled with a near impenetrable durability. But what truly sets them apart is their unnerving ability to replicate themselves. It's a relentless, overwhelming onslaught, like fighting a Hydra where every severed head spawns two more, each just as powerful as the original. This cloning ability isn't just a gimmick, it's a strategic nightmare for any hero. They can flood battlefields, overwhelm defenses, and wear down even the most resilient opponents through sheer attrition. And to make matters worse, they're not mindless drones. These Reaniman are brilliant scientists, capable of developing and deploying advanced weaponry and technology. They're not just relying on brute force, they're strategizing, adapting, and innovating in the midst of combat. Imagine facing an enemy that can not only outmuscle you, but also outthink you and then multiply itself until you're drowning in a sea of identical, equally dangerous foes. It's a psychological and physical assault, a constant reminder that no matter how many you take down, there will always be more. It's like a nightmarish, never-ending wave of blue-skinned terror, designed to break the spirit as much as the body. They're not just fighting to win, they're fighting to exhaust, to demoralize, to make you wish you'd never crossed their path. It's brains and brawn with a heavy dose of we're going to clone ourselves until you absolutely cannot fight anymore. Typhoid Mary presents a uniquely dangerous threat to the Avengers, a lethal combination of raw physical prowess and potent psychic abilities. She's not merely a skilled martial artist, capable of holding her own against seasoned fighters, but also wields the destructive powers of pyrokinesis and telekinesis, making her a formidable opponent in any engagement. However, her her most dangerous weapon lies within her mind. Her capacity for mind control. She could effortlessly turn the Avengers against each other, manipulating Captain America into a weapon against Iron Man, or compelling Thor to unleash his full, devastating power upon his own teammates. Her unpredictable nature, coupled with her manipulative skills, allows her to sow discord and chaos within even the most cohesive team dynamic. This is a woman who once held the Kingpin, a figure of immense power and influence, as her husband, demonstrating her exceptional ability to manipulate and control even the most powerful figures in the criminal underworld. This history proves that she has the capacity to manipulate the Avengers, turning their strengths into weaknesses and their unity into a liability. Typhoid Mary's ability to exploit the Avengers' trust and internal dynamics makes her a threat that goes beyond simple physical confrontation, making her a truly dangerous foe. Though often classified as an anti-hero, Frank Castle, the Punisher, possesses a history of violent conflict, particularly with Daredevil, rooted in their diametrically opposed ideologies. Where Daredevil adheres to a strict no-kill code, the Punisher believes in lethal justice, a philosophy that makes him a terrifying force. He is a master of strategic warfare, a weapons expert, and a seasoned practitioner of guerrilla tactics, demonstrating a willingness to confront any target, regardless of their power, including the Avengers. Imagine him launching a meticulously planned assault, exploiting their vulnerabilities with ruthless efficiency and turning their own strategies against them. His unwavering determination, coupled with his vast arsenal of weaponry and tactical expertise, would allow him to inflict serious damage upon Earth's mightiest heroes. He wouldn't engage in a direct head-on confrontation. Instead, he would utilize his knowledge of their weaknesses, employing hit-and-run tactics, setting traps, and using their own powers against them. His ability to blend into the shadows, his mastery of various combat styles, and his absolute lack of remorse make him a terrifying and unpredictable opponent capable of disrupting the Avengers' cohesion and inflicting significant casualties. The Hand isn't just one villain, it's an army of deadly ninja assassins. They're masters of stealth martial arts and espionage, and they have a knack for turning heroes into villains. They could infiltrate Avengers Tower, taking out the heroes one by one, or even resurrect fallen enemies to fight alongside them. Imagine an endless wave of Hand ninjas, bolstered by resurrected villains the Avengers have already defeated. The Hand is a relentless force, and their numbers could overwhelm even Earth's mightiest heroes. Nuke is essentially a super soldier gone wrong. Enhanced by the same program that created Captain America, Nuke possesses incredible strength, a healing factor, and a relentless, almost insane drive. But unlike Cap, Nuke is unstable and easily manipulated. Imagine him unleashed upon the Avengers, a weapon of mass destruction with no regard for collateral damage. He could cause devastating damage before they could even figure out how to stop him. Bullseye is the assassin who never misses. He can turn anything into a deadly weapon, and his accuracy is practically superhuman. He could take out Hawkeye with a paperclip, or disable Iron Man's suit with a well-aimed projectile. He's a master of improvisation and a cold-blooded killer, and that makes him a serious threat to even the most powerful heroes. Muse is a terrifying combination of artistic talent and homicidal tendencies. He's a serial killer who uses his victims' bodies as art installations, and he has the power to become virtually invisible to Daredevil's senses. This makes him a nightmare for the Avengers, who lack Daredevil's heightened senses and wouldn't even know he was there until it was too late. Imagine him stalking the Avengers, picking them off one by one, turning their headquarters into a macabre masterpiece. He's a predator, and his unpredictability makes him incredibly dangerous. Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, is the undisputed ruler of crime in Hell's Kitchen. He's not just a powerful crime lord, he's also a skilled fighter with incredible strength, but his true power lies in his influence and resources. He could hire an army of villains to attack the Avengers, or manipulate the media to turn public opinion against them. He's a master strategist and a ruthless opponent, and he could bring the Avengers down from the shadows. This one might come as a surprise, but Bill Torrens, better known as Man-Bull, deserves a spot on this list. Once an ordinary man, Torrens underwent a horrifying transformation after being injected with an experimental serum, morphing him into a hulking, raging bull man. While he might initially appear to be nothing more than a mindless brute, Man-Bull's strength is truly extraordinary, and his unpredictable nature makes him a dangerous wildcard in any fight. His sheer resilience, coupled with his animalistic ferocity, allows him to absorb significant damage and keep charging forward. In the confined spaces of a city street, or even within the Avengers' own headquarters, his close quarters combat prowess would be devastating. The Avengers, often accustomed to facing cosmic threats and superpowered individuals, would likely underestimate Man-Bull's raw power and primal aggression, a critical error that could very well lead to their downfall. His ability to create chaos and exploit any moment of hesitation would make him a surprisingly effective disruptor against even the most coordinated team. Leland Owlsley, the Owl, might initially seem like an unconventional pick for a list of Avengers-level threats. While his primary abilities, flight via gliding and enhanced eyesight, appear relatively minor compared to the cosmic powers of many Avengers' adversaries, dismissing him would be a grave mistake. The Owl's true power lies in his exceptional intellect and ruthless cunning. He's a master strategist, capable of meticulously planning and executing complex schemes that can outmaneuver even the most powerful heroes. He's also a master manipulator, adept at exploiting the weaknesses and insecurities of others, turning allies against each other with subtle whispers and carefully planted seeds of doubt. Remember, this is the villain who orchestrated a hostile takeover of the Kingpin's vast criminal empire, a feat that speaks volumes about his strategic brilliance and ability to control chaos. Given time and resources, the Owl could orchestrate the Avengers' downfall by meticulously planning, manipulating events to his advantage, and exploiting any internal conflicts within the team. He could turn their strengths against them, using their own powers and personalities to sow discord and create a self-destructive spiral. He wouldn't need to overpower them physically, he would simply dismantle them from the inside out. Mr. Fear might seem like an unlikely contender against the Avengers, especially when compared to foes wielding cosmic powers or superhuman strength. However, his power lies in a far more insidious and potent weapon, fear itself. While certain iterations of Mr. Fear have demonstrated enhanced physical abilities, his primary and most devastating tool is his fear gas, a concoction that can induce paralyzing terror in even the most stalwart heroes. Imagine the Hulk, typically a force of unbridled rage, suddenly consumed by his own inner demons, or Thor, the god of thunder, rendered helpless by the horrifying vision of Ragnarok. Mr. Fear preys on vulnerabilities, meticulously exploiting the deep-seated fears and insecurities that even the seemingly invincible Avengers harbor. He delves into their psyches, amplifying their darkest anxieties and turning them into crippling realities. He could even target Scarlet Witch, amplifying the trauma of her past experiences and manipulating her immense power to turn against her own teammates. By exploiting the emotional and psychological weaknesses of each Avenger, Mr. Fear could dismantle the team from within, transforming their greatest strengths into devastating liabilities. He wouldn't need to overpower them physically, he would simply break their spirits and turn their inner demons into unstoppable weapons.
Spotlight on Graviton. He gained the ability to mentally control gravity after a failed teleportation experiment. At first, when Graviton started being evil, no one really knew because his lab was in the Canadian Rockies, but then someone sent a distress signal to the Avengers, so they got involved. The Avengers thought this was going to be a really easy win for them. The guy was just a human, right? Wrong. Graviton literally threw the Avengers around and won the fight. He ended up destroying himself by making a building collapse on him, and it would take a while before he was able to separate all the atoms again. After that, he had amnesia, but eventually returned to a life of crime. Dead Ringer can take on the form of any dead body he touches, and it's a lot more useful and can cause way more problems than you might think. Dead Ringer is a mutant. His mimicking abilities are not reserved for people, you can also mimic animals. He discovered his abilities by touching his deceased cat and then father, which is traumatic. Choosing to use his powers for evil, he started to remove pieces of heroes from their graves, because when he touches a deceased super person, he gets their powers. Dead Ringer is limited to one person at a time, and if he wants to revisit the body of someone, he has to touch them again. And that is hard when you take decaying into account, a major inconvenience. Dead Ringer's most famous battle was when he and his partner, Super Patriot, became Porcupine and Captain America to destroy Cap's reputation. The two staged a fight at a charity gala and deliberately hurt the crowd. The pair were eventually arrested. Styx and Stones have very different origin stories, but are now connected for life. Styx was originally homeless, and Stone was on a team of scientists doing experimental cancer research. The team of scientists were offering compensation for anyone willing to be experimented on, so Styx signed up. Stone thought that someone could become immune to cancer the same way you can become immune to snake bites. Of course, he did run the test on Styx, and of course, it ended in the worst way. Styx became a walking cancer, decaying any organic matter he comes in contact with. Awful outcome, but at least Stone's theory was right. Styx was immune to cancer himself. Stone felt really bad about this and vowed to find a cure for Styx. Somewhere along the way, we actually don't know how it happened, but Stone turned into a big stone monster, and with that he gained the ability to decay any inorganic matter. One hero that did fight them that I think was a worthy match was Deadpool. Bloodshadow is a very cool villain that I don't want to meet, but I do think they should bring back. He was known for facing off against Wolverine. Bloodshadow is capable of telepathy and a trained martial artist. He is also very familiar with the human body. He knew all its deadly pressure points like the back of his hand. He combined this trio of skills into an interesting fighting style. He would use his telepathy to determine an opponent's next move, his martial arts training to counter it, and his knowledge of the human body to determine which deadly pressure points would be exposed so he could hit them. The man was clearly incredibly intelligent. He won most of his fights quickly and without any harm done to him using his unique method. Unfortunately for Bloodshadow, his telepathy was a bit too powerful in a fight with Wolverine, and he accidentally unlocked Wolverine's base feral animalistic instincts. No one can survive those, not even Bloodshadow. I would love to see him brought back though to fight against other Marvel heroes, just to see what happens. Up next is the Sphinx. He started out as a simple wizard, but then became wielder of the Cause Stone and eventually a cosmic class threat. After finding the Cause Stone, it quickly attached itself to his forehead, and it came with a long list of pretty cool powers, including immortality, telepathy, flight, teleportation, illusion creation, and more. One of his underutilized powers is his ability to alter reality. He usually keeps it on the less dramatic side, but could cause some real problems if he wanted to. Sphinx eventually grew tired of being immortal and decided to search for a way to get the stone off. He did so in a manner that gained the attention of the Fantastic Four, now dead set on stopping him. They called in Galactus, who defeated Sphinx, stripping him of his power, then sent him back in time in a time loop to live his life again and again. However, they forgot that Sphinx already existed at that time, so now there were two. Together they developed a way to prevent his future fate, and he almost succeeded. He lived on and continued being the worst. When I came across Creed Harley Quinn, or Hyena, in my research for this video, I literally thought to myself, oh yeah, he's going in, he sounds like a total nightmare. We all know Sabretooth, the thorn in Wolverine's side. We all know the Joker, Batman's permanent headache. In a burst of creativity, Marvel and DC decided to combine these two to create the most unhinged creature on the planet. Hyena has all the powers of the two villains, plus he also just looks creepy. Sabretooth on his own is insane, but Joker is on another level when it comes to lack of mental sanity. The two literally took the worst, or I guess the best, of the other in this Frankenstein tale. So Marvel and DC had no choice but to combine Batman and Wolverine, creating Darkclaw. At least we can all sleep soundly knowing that someone capable enough is out there to stop Hyena from ending his universe. Hopefully people will start talking about this crossover again, because it would be pretty cool, and it's hard to believe it faded into obscurity. Grail has made her triumphant and destructive return this year. As the daughter of Darkseid, prophesized to basically end the world, we should expect nothing less. Her moment was probably the Darkseid War from Justice League Volume 2. She nearly destroyed the team. She was literally named the goddess of anti-life. Not even her own family is safe. After the death of her father, she kidnapped someone's super baby and made said baby absorb a bunch of powers, also making that baby's growth accelerate, turning them into the new Darkseid mid-battle, a Darkseid that was 100% under her control. The fight only ended when Grail opened her eyes, blasting through her mom and her dad, creating a huge explosion. It looked like she was gone forever, however that was not the case. Turns out she just went to some underground cave with her baby father and is now raising him down there until he's ready to break stuff again. She is actively speeding up his growth by attacking and ending the children of Zeus, so she's evil through and through. Another villain that has had a bit of a comeback this year is Varnae. Varnae is thought to be the first ever vampire in history, being turned into one in a ritual performed by Atlantean sorcerers about 70,000 years before Jesus. He also has the usual vampire powers, strength and speed, etc., but also a healing factor, telepathy, shape-shifting, magic, dark force manipulation, and more. In Time Spirits 4, Varnae asked the Crystal Skull, the thing that is supposed to be the truth of man, if he was pure evil, and the answer was yes. It was also confirmed in this comic that the only way there will be an end to Varnae is if he chooses it, so he is pretty much all-powerful, aside from all the regular vampire weaknesses, of course. For a long time, Varnae was vulnerable to sunlight and silver and religious symbols of gods that only existed when he was turned into a vampire, so like crosses wouldn't do anything. The bad news is, when Varnae possessed Blade in the recent Blood Hunt story, he lost all these weaknesses. He was only able to be defeated after a long battle against the Avengers and being attacked by a member of Blade's bloodline and someone of his own bloodline. So this next villain has quite the name, so please be prepared. Boss Glitter was the main antagonist of the forgotten DC series about the Heckler. Don't let the ridiculous name fool you. Boss Glitter is a ruthless mob boss. He just happens to have a little bit of flair. He uses old Mardi Gras masks to hide his face, and he controls the city by planting just like a bunch of lieutenants that manage different parts of it for him. The problem is, the Heckler keeps defeating those lieutenants and throwing them in jail, so naturally Boss Glitter wants the Heckler to heckle no more. When his lieutenants fail to end his comedy act, Boss Glitter takes matters into his own hands, and this is a great example of being ruthless with a dramatic flair. Glitter sends a bouquet of flowers to Heckler, who is in the hospital, but with a bomb in them. The Heckler does still survive though, and we don't hear from Boss Glitter anymore because the comics had bad sales, so the whole series was cancelled. But Boss Glitter, he does now live in my head, rent-free. Up next is ironically Overshadow. Barely anyone knows who he is or have forgotten about the villain, and yet he might be one of the most powerful villains Marvel has ever created. Overshadow got his powers from the White Event, and because Philip Nolan Voight was climbing a mountain while it happened and was therefore closest to space, he got the most power. He is able to replicate the powers of any paranormal he encounters. Not only that, but he gets to keep the powers after replication, and not only that, but he can then magnify them. The only power he could not replicate, which ended up being his undoing, was the powers of the Star Brand. I think people forget Overshadow simply because the comics he was in weren't very popular as other Marvel stuff, and they were the DP7 comics of Earth 148,611.
This cosmic entity is a destroyer of universes, responsible for the crisis on infinite Earths. The Anti-Monitor possesses nearly limitless energy manipulation, vast physical strength, and the ability to reshape reality on a multiversal scale. He can absorb entire universes to increase his power, making him an existential threat to all of existence. Even Darkseid fears the Anti-Monitor's destructive potential. This guy is a force of cosmic annihilation, and his presence spells doom for any universe he sets his sights on. So there you have it, 5 of the most powerful and terrifying villains in the DC universe. But the chaos doesn't stop there. We've only scratched the surface of the nightmares the DCU has to offer. Get ready, because the next half of our countdown delves into even more chilling territory, showcasing villains whose intelligence and ambition rival even their immense power. Now prepare for a different kind of threat, one that doesn't rely on brute force, but on cold, calculated intellect. This super intelligent android is obsessed with collecting knowledge and preserving civilizations, even if it means destroying them in the process. Brainiac travels the universe in his iconic skull-shaped spaceship, shrinking cities and bottling them up to add to his collection. He possesses a 12th level intellect, advanced technology, and a vast array of powers, including telekinesis, telepathy, and force field generation. Brainiac has been a thorn in the side of Superman and the Justice League for years, and his cold, calculating logic makes him a truly formidable opponent. This fifth-dimensional imp may seem like a harmless prankster, but he possesses reality-warping powers that make him one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. Mr. Mxyzptlk can do almost anything he can imagine, from turning people into animals to erasing entire cities from existence. He once even turned the entire world into a cartoon. And get this, he's actually aware of being a fictional character. Talk about breaking the fourth wall. The only way to stop him is to trick him into saying his name backward, which sends him back to the 5th dimension. But even then, he always finds a way to return and cause more chaos. Did I mention he can control a subway train with a video game joystick? This guy is a walking reality bender, and his unpredictable nature makes him a constant source of chaos in the DC universe. The ruler of Apocalypse, Darkseid is a godlike being with immense power and a thirst for universal domination. He possesses superhuman strength, durability, and the ability to manipulate energy on a cosmic scale. His Omega beams can erase anything they touch, and his Omega Sanction can trap victims in an endless cycle of torment. Imagine being trapped in a never-ending loop of terrible lives, each each one worse than the last with no escape. That's the Omega Sanction. Darkseid is also a master strategist and manipulator, always scheming to conquer the universe and enslave all free will. This guy is basically the ultimate evil overlord, and his presence casts a shadow over the entire DC universe. This nightmarish fusion of Batman and the Joker is a terrifying force of chaos and destruction. He possesses Batman's tactical genius and the Joker's nihilistic insanity, making him a truly unpredictable and dangerous foe. The Batman who laughs has been shown to manipulate and defeat some of the most powerful beings in the DC universe, including Perpetua herself. He's so powerful he can even turn Robins into Joker-like monsters and destroy multiple universes. He even gained the powers of Dr. Manhattan, making him a near omnipotent threat. This guy is a walking nightmare, and his presence brings terror and despair to the DC universe. This cosmic entity isn't just powerful, he's a force of nature on a multiversal scale. The Anti-Monitor is responsible for the Crisis on Infinite Earths, an event that nearly wiped out all of existence. He can absorb the energy of entire universes, growing stronger with every world he consumes. He's got antimatter manipulation powers that can break down anything in his path, and he can even travel through dimensions and alter reality itself. This guy is the ultimate cosmic destroyer, and his very existence threatens the stability of the multiverse. This android, known as Amazo, was created by the brilliant but twisted Professor Evo with a single terrifying purpose: to replicate the powers of any superhero it encounters.
It's called Amazo.
Imagine a being that can soar through the skies like Superman, wield the emerald energy of a Green Lantern ring, move at the blinding speed of the Flash, and possess the incredible strength of Wonder Woman, all at the same time. Amazo isn't just a simple copycat though. It possesses a sophisticated learning matrix that allows it to analyze and adapt to any new power it encounters, constantly evolving and becoming more dangerous. In one infamous encounter, Amazo single-handedly took on the entire Justice League, pushing Earth's greatest heroes to their absolute limits and showcasing the terrifying potential of its adaptive abilities. He can teleport across vast distances, manipulate matter at a molecular level, and even absorb energy attacks, turning their power against the heroes themselves. This potent combination of replicated abilities and rapid adaptation makes Amazo a near unbeatable foe, a constant threat lurking in the shadows, ready to unleash the combined might of the Justice League and potentially even more against the world. Each encounter with Amazo forces heroes to rethink their strategies, knowing that whatever worked before might be completely useless the next time around. The potential for Amazo to evolve and master even more powers makes him a ticking time bomb, a walking arsenal of stolen abilities waiting to be unleashed. This skeletal scythe-wielding entity is the embodiment of death itself. Nekron rules over the land of the unliving and commands the Black Lantern Corps, an army of undead beings powered by the Black Power Rings. He can resurrect the dead, control their minds, and drain the life force of the living. Nekron has even been shown to imprison the Anti-Monitor and use him as a power source. This guy is basically a walking apocalypse, and even the most powerful heroes struggle to defeat him. This monstrous Kryptonian abomination is best known for being the only one to ever kill Superman. Doomsday is a nearly indestructible killing machine with incredible strength, durability, and a healing factor that makes Wolverine look like an amateur. He can adapt to overcome any attack, meaning he can only be killed once by the same method. This means he's a constantly evolving threat. Doomsday has even evolved to control Hellfire and drain the life force of those around him. Not only that, but Doomsday also has venomous claws. This guy is a force of nature, and his relentless drive for destruction makes him a constant threat to the DC universe. This demonic entity is the father of Raven and one of the most powerful villains in the DC universe. Trigon has conquered countless worlds and dimensions, and his power is virtually limitless.
Who shall rule? And who shall serve?
He can warp reality, control minds, teleport, and even manipulate matter. But here's the thing about Trigon. He's more than just a demon. He's a manifestation of evil itself. He's basically the embodiment of all the darkness and hatred in the universe. Trigon has even been shown to go toe-to-toe with Mr. Mxyzptlk, a fifth-dimensional imp with reality warping powers. This guy is basically the devil incarnate, and his evil influence is a constant threat to the heroes of the DC universe.
At number 5, 5 was the comic book moment where Wonder Woman took down Maxwell Lord. This one is intense and brutal. So here's how it went down. Superman, under mind control, goes berserk, thinking his loved ones are in danger, but as it turns out, Maxwell Lord is pulling the strings. Wonder Woman steps up and wrangles Lord in her lasso of truth. Now here's the kicker. Lord spills the beans that the only way to free Superman's mind is to off him. And that's when Wonder Woman, with no time dilly-dallying, does the unthinkable, snapping Lord's neck. Pretty heavy stuff. No flashy speeches or grandstanding, just a swift execution with serious consequences. This scene caused quite a stir in the comic world for its shock value and for Wonder Woman's quite uncharacteristic move. It's one of those moments that makes you stop and think about the lengths that heroes might go to when backed up against the wall. And number 4, Sentry rips Carnage in half. So Carnage is one of the baddest of the bad guys in the Marvel Universe, causing all kinds of chaos in his Supermax prison. The guy was all set to go on a rampage, targeting Spider-Woman, Luke Cage, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Captain America, the whole lot. Now that's an all-star team of superheroes, but then things get really messy when in swoops the Sentry. Now the Sentry is no ordinary hero. He's got crazy powers, like next level stuff. Basically, yet another one of Marvel's Superman equivalents. So what does he do? He doesn't waste any time with punches or speeches, none of that. He just grabs Carnage, flies them both up into space, into the great atmosphere up there, and then, once he's up there, when it's just him, Carnage, and the stars, Sentry does the unthinkable. Just tears Carnage apart, quite literally, like a scene out of a sci-fi horror flick. You see, Carnage has a symbiote suit which gives him insane powers, making him almost unkillable, but when you're up against the power of a guy like the Sentry, someone who's got the strength of a zillion suns, well, let's just say it's game over for Carnage. The symbiote couldn't handle that kind of cosmic level power, and just like that, one of the nastiest villains ever meant a seriously brutal end. At number 3 is Daniel West getting nuked. Reverse Flash, aka Daniel West, wasn't your regular bad guy. He had his super speed going on just like the Flash, but he used his powers for all the wrong reasons. I mean, imagine going up against your own grandpa. That's some next level family drama right there. Now the Suicide Squad, known for recruiting not so good guys for their missions, thought it would be good to try to turn him into a hero, but alas, their plan didn't exactly pan out. So here comes the big showdown. There's this bomb planted by the League of Assassins set to destroy a whole city. And here's when Reverse Flash steps in, thinking that he can be the hero this time. He swoops in, saves the day by getting rid of the bomb, but then tragedy strikes as the thing blows up when he's holding it, and he's caught in the blast, ending his villainous run right then and there in the middle of the ocean. At number 2, the Void gets ripped in half by Knull. Alright, now it's the Sentry's turn to get ripped in half. Lots of ripping in half in this one. Alright, so the Sentry, a hero with a split personality, kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, but with superpowers. On one side, he's the good old hero, the Sentry, and on the other, he's the Void, a real cosmic level problem when the story calls for it. Now, things got really wild when these two sides joined forces and became a serious problem, but enter Knull, the big shot symbiote god. Knull and the Sentry had a clash where Knull managed to pull off something straight out of an ironic playbook as he actually ripped the Void himself in half. This wasn't the first time Void would bite the dust like this, but it seems like this time it actually stuck. What's interesting here is how the Sentry, who was once a huge multiversal threat and later became a super strong Avenger, but this defeat by Knull is the kind of comic book stuff that sticks around. It's like Knull was like, oh, you're into tearing things in half? How about I show you how it's done? At number 1 is Reverse Flash evaporated by Dr. Manhattan. Eobard Thawne, aka Reverse Flash from the DC Universe, is no stranger to biting the dust, having died and being resurrected more times than anybody can count. At this point, it's just been chopped up to his time-traveling antics, rendering him a living paradox. But his demise in the Button storyline takes the cake. Picture this. He shows up in Batman's cave, zapped by a blue light while holding his, weird Watchmen button from the comics, and then he vanishes. Seconds later, he reappears, no button, and collapses. His body starts vaporizing on the spot, leaving only a skeleton, muttering about seeing God before biting the big one. Now the thing is, Reverse Flash thought he hit the jackpot by touching that button, hoping for some power or connection, but as it turns out, it was linked to Dr. Manhattan, the big shot from the Watchmen, who zapped him into a crisp in an attempt to remain undiscovered within the DC Universe. The whole ordeal with the button bridged the Watchmen world and the DC Universe together, and poor Eobard over here became a crispy critter in the cosmic crossover. Pretty brutal. At number 10, the Thing is crushed by Dr. Doom's hand. The Ultimatum storyline from Marvel Comics kinda got a bad rep, mainly because it's super dark and had some seriously brutal moments. But one of the crazy craziest scenes was when Dr. Doom, who's usually a big deal in the Marvel Universe, he got his face absolutely obliterated in the palm of the Thing's hand. So how did it go down? Well, Dr. Doom did something pretty awful that set off a huge catastrophe, leading to a slew of unalivings, including some of the Fantastic Four crew. Now, the Thing, who's not usually the trigger-happy type, got seriously ticked off by all this. And so what does he do? He grabs Dr. Doom's head in his palm and squishes it like a stress ball. That's not really your average superhero move, but when you think about all the damage that Doom caused, you kind of get why the Thing lost it. I mean, it's a shocking moment in comic book history. The Thing usually doesn't go around squishing heads, but this time he definitely did. Ultimatum may not be everyone's cup of tea, but this definitely left a mark with that hardcore Thing moment. At number 9, Manuki gets roasted. The Punisher, in his quest against crime boss Ma Nuke, went to extreme lengths. Ma Nuke, who was determined and relentless, despite losing all her limbs to a polar bear, met a brutal end. You see, after the Punisher took down her criminal network, he confronted her in a fiery showdown, to say the least. And so, in a final clash, Ma Nuke lunged at the Punisher without any limbs. It's pretty interesting to see. But Frank Castle didn't hold back, pushing her back into a raging fire. Now, the details of her fate weren't shown, but I mean, burning alive is a horrific way to go. The intense heat and flames would have caused some excruciating pain, making her last moments unimaginably agonizing. This villain's defeat stands out for its raw brutality, showcasing the Punisher's uncompromising stance against those he deems as threats to justice. The scene, although not super graphically depicted, leaves a super haunting impression of the price paid in battle against crime. If you're enjoying this video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. Coming in at number 8, Taskmaster and Hyperion obliterate each other. Okay, so Taskmaster is like a human sponge. I mean, not in the way you would think, but I mean, in both ways in this case. You see, he can soak up fighting moves just by watching them, which is what makes him super dangerous in the Marvel world. But he's not somebody with magical powers like Thor. He's just got something even scarier: the willingness to do whatever it takes to win. In a recent showdown, Taskmaster faced off against Hyperion, who's basically one of Marvel's versions of Superman, which sounds like an impossible feat. Am I right? I mean, Hyperion is super tough, I mean, basically indestructible. But guess what? Taskmaster found a way to beat him, and he did so by getting his own ass beat really hard. You see, at first, Taskmaster was getting absolutely crushed. Bones were breaking, organs were being bruised, bodily fluids spattered all over the place. It was a total mess. It seems every trick in Taskmaster's book was just shrugged off by Hyperion. But ultimately, taking this beating paid off for Taskmaster, as Hyperion completely underestimated him when he ignored an arrow that, to his credit, it missed him by a mile. But as it turns out, that arrow was tipped with Argonite radiation, basically Hyperion's kryptonite, and the arrow actually turned back around like a boomerang and struck the unsuspecting super blonde right in the back. When Hyperion got hit, he screamed in pain, fell down, and here's the scary part. Hyperion was basically done for, like the mission was complete, and all Taskmaster had to do was walk away. But he didn't walk away. He went full-on savage, beating the guts out of the depowered Hyperion, ready to take him out completely. And if it weren't for Nick Cage yelling through his intercom, he totally would have done it too. It took Nick Cage reminding Taskmaster that he's supposed to be professional and not end this guy in cold blood. That's how ruthless Taskmaster could be though. I mean, he's beaten big shots before, but taking down Hyperion, even if it almost killed him, shows just how deadly this guy truly is. Heroes better not take him lightly or they might just end up regretting it big time. At number 7, the Joker caves Simon's skull in. You know that unpredictable maniacal clown who's always keeping everybody on their toes? Well, he's known for some pretty wild antics, but this one really took the cake in terms of sheer brutality. So Simon, this telekinetic and telepathic baddie from the Teen Titans series, was causing his usual chaos. But then, in Salvation Run number 2, things took a really dark and gruesome turn, as the Joker, in his usual twisted manner, decided to put an end to Simon, and let's just say it was not a peaceful resolution. See, the Joker went full-on ruthless, grabbing a rock and violently caving in Simon's skull. Yeah, you heard that right. It was seriously graphic and intense, even by Joker standards. This is coming from a guy who's literally skinned people alive before. The moment wasn't just shocking because it was the Joker, it was just the sheer level of brutality that left readers stunned. This is one of those jaw-dropping scenes that really makes you grasp how twisted and unpredictable the Joker can truly be when he's pushed to the edge. At number 6, Wolverine dismembers a saber-toothed clone. You're not gonna believe the crazy battles that went down in this one. Picture this. So Wolverine, the tough-as-nails mutant with those claws, is facing off against a clone of Sabretooth, villain known for being downright ruthless. This clone was no joke. It went on a full-on rampage and actually took out Feral, one of Wolverine's crew. So now that Wolverine was armed with the Murasama Blade, which is basically a superhero's dream weapon for taking down the unkillable, Wolverine stepped up, and let me tell you, he did not hold back. With one swift move, he sliced off the clone's arm, and then, like a lightning bolt, he went for the head and chopped it clean off. But here's the thing, see, Wolverine wasn't about to take any chances. Even though Sabretooth was taken out with the Murasama Blade, which basically renders him unable to regenerate, Logan still made sure to bury every single piece of that clone separately. Some next level caution right there. But just when he thought he'd finished off Sabretooth, the original popped back up, which was a surprise twist in the story. Wolverine must have been scratching his head thinking that he put the villain down for good, but nah, these comic book folks always find a way to bounce back.
Frank Castle, known as the Punisher, is a highly skilled vigilante with extensive military training, a master of weaponry, and unwavering dedication to his war against crime. His ruthlessness and willingness to employ lethal force set him apart from many other heroes. Surprisingly, the provided material indicates multiple instances where Kingpin has emerged victorious in confrontations with the Punisher, particularly in their earlier encounters. One instance specifically mentions Kingpin evading being killed by the Punisher in the Punisher Max series, and even orchestrating Castle's arrest. This highlights a strategic triumph for Kingpin, where he not only survived an encounter with the deadly vigilante, but also managed to turn the situation to his advantage. Another account describes a direct attack by the Punisher on Kingpin being thwarted when Kingpin summoned his bodyguards, ultimately subduing Castle. There is even a depiction of Kingpin while in chains, taunting a similarly restrained Punisher, implying a scenario where Kingpin had somehow managed to capture him. Kingpin's extensive resources and intricate network of contacts allow him to employ numerous bodyguards and strategically set traps designed to ensnare the Punisher. In the Punisher Max storyline, Kingpin's cunning manipulations and long-term strategies ultimately led to the Punisher's demise after a protracted and brutal war. A surprising conclusion given the Punisher's notorious tenacity and survival skills. Kingpin's ability to evade the Punisher's relentless pursuit and even facilitate his arrest underscores his strategic thinking and resourcefulness. Given the Punisher's reputation as a highly efficient killer with an unwavering focus on eliminating criminals, Kingpin's repeated survival and occasional dominance in their encounters are particularly surprising, demonstrating his capacity to counter the Punisher's brutal and direct methods with his own cunning and resources. Steve Rogers, Captain America, stands as a symbol of peak human conditioning, a master strategist, and the wielder of the indestructible vibranium shield. His enhanced strength, agility, exceptional fighting skills, and natural leadership qualities make him one of the most formidable heroes in the Marvel Universe. It is therefore particularly surprising to learn of an instance where Kingpin achieved victory against him. The provided material explicitly states, Kingpin versus Captain America. First fight, Kingpin victory, interrupted by Falcon. This encounter is further detailed, referencing Captain America number 147, where Kingpin and Captain America engaged in a fierce physical duel. In this confrontation, Kingpin managed to gain the upper hand, seizing Captain America in a grip so powerful that it threatened to break his spine. Only the timely intervention of the Falcon and his avian companion Redwing prevented Kingpin from delivering a potentially fatal blow. A more detailed account from a YouTube video describes Kingpin's dialogue during the fight, where he boasts about his superior brute strength overwhelming Captain America's acrobatic skills and shield prowess. Kingpin's surprising level of raw strength and inherent durability allowed him to withstand Captain America's attacks and deliver powerful blows of his own. In their initial encounter, Kingpin's sheer power nearly incapacitated Captain America before the unexpected arrival of Falcon and Redwing disrupted the fight. For a non-superpowered individual like Kingpin to defeat a super soldier like Captain America in direct physical combat, even if the victory was ultimately interrupted, is a significant and highly surprising feat. This triumph underscores Kingpin's deceptively immense strength and fighting capabilities, often underestimated due to his physical appearance. It demonstrates that even heroes possessing enhanced physical attributes can be challenged and even defeated by Kingpin's unexpected raw power. Tony Stark, known as Iron Man, is a genius inventor who utilizes a technologically advanced armored suit that grants him superhuman strength, durability, flight, and a vast arsenal of weaponry. His technological superiority and status as one of Earth's mightiest heroes make him a formidable opponent. Surprisingly, the provided material indicates that during the Devil's Reign event, Kingpin, in his capacity as the mayor of New York City, brought his full criminal and political power to bear against the city's superheroes, including Iron Man. The text explicitly states that Kingpin, having previously destroyed Daredevil, had now set his sights on a range of powerful heroes, including the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage. Furthermore, it suggests that Kingpin intended to take them all down by leveraging his political authority and employing a team of villains such as Crossbones, Taskmaster, Typhoid Mary, Shocker, Whiplash, Rhino, and Kraven. While the specific details of Iron Man's defeat are not elaborated upon, the implication is clear that Kingpin, through a combination of his mayoral power and the strategic deployment of his villainous allies, managed to overcome the Armored Avenger. As mayor, Kingpin would have possessed significant political influence, potentially enabling him to enact laws or create situations that neutralized Iron Man's technological advantages or placed him in legal jeopardy. The assembled team of villains, each with their own unique powers and skills, could have been strategically coordinated to overwhelm Iron Man. Additionally, the material hints at Kingpin possessing knowledge of the heroes' secret identities and vulnerabilities, unleashing intel on all their dark secrets, which could have been a crucial element in his plan to defeat them. Given Iron Man's advanced technology and immense power levels, a defeat orchestrated by a non-superpowered individual would typically necessitate a high degree of cunning and strategic manipulation of political power and villainous alliances. This instance showcases the extent of Kingpin's ambition, which extends far beyond street-level crime, and how he can effectively leverage political authority and strategic partnerships to pose a significant threat to even high-powered heroes like Iron Man. Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Man, possesses superhuman strength, speed, agility, web-slinging capabilities, and a precognitive spider sense. Despite often being considered a street-level hero, his powers and resourcefulness make him one of Marvel's most popular and formidable characters. Surprisingly, there are multiple documented instances where Kingpin has managed to defeat Spider-Man in unexpected ways. In his debut storyline, Kingpin effortlessly crushed Spider-Man, a surprising outcome that defied typical reader expectations. This event also established Kingpin as one of the first villains that Spider-Man could not defeat outright. Another instance describes Kingpin stealing the Venom symbiote from Eddie Brock, transforming into Fisk Venom and engaging Spider-Man in a brutal battle that Spider-Man only narrowly won. The initial theft and transformation represent a surprising tactical victory for Kingpin. Shockingly, in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Kingpin, Peter Parker's universe, successfully killed Spider-Man, Miles Morales' universe, a truly unexpected event given Spider-Man's renowned resilience. There is also an account where Moon Knight, disguised as Ronin, brought a seemingly unconscious Spider-Man to Kingpin as part of a deceptive plan. However, Kingpin revealed his awareness of the ruse and had both Moon Knight and Spider-Man severely beaten, with Spider-Man being tortured and unmasked, demonstrating Kingpin's ability to outsmart and overwhelm the web slinger. Furthermore, Kingpin once developed a serum that replicated Spider-Man's powers but was ultimately lethal, while Daredevil was the one dosed. The initial fight saw a significantly empowered Daredevil nearly kill Kingpin, highlighting Kingpin's vulnerability even when facing Spider-Man's abilities indirectly. In another encounter, Kingpin, having undergone some work that enhanced his strength, managed to overpower both Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Kingpin's cunning and strategic planning often enable him to set elaborate traps or exploit specific weaknesses in Spider-Man's approach. His surprising burst of strength and resilience can also catch Spider-Man off guard. The brutal victory in Into the Spider-Verse was attributed to Kingpin's desperation and immense physical size. Kingpin's occasional acquisition of temporary superpowers, such as the Venom symbiote, has also led to unexpected defeats for Spider-Man. Given Spider-Man's impressive array of powers and agility, Kingpin's repeated successes against him, often achieved through intelligence, unexpected strength, or tactical advantages, consistently surprise both the hero and the audience. Matt Murdock, the Daredevil, also known as the Man Without Fear, is a blind lawyer with extraordinarily heightened senses, exceptional martial arts skills, and an unwavering sense of justice. justice. He is widely recognized as Kingpin's primary nemesis, and their history is long and complex. While Daredevil has suffered numerous defeats at Kingpin's hands, one stands out as particularly surprising: his first brutal defeat in the Daredevil Season 1, Episode 9 of his own show. This encounter, detailed in the provided material, saw Daredevil, despite his renowned fighting skills, being completely overwhelmed by Kingpin's raw power. Kingpin effortlessly shrugged off Daredevil's attacks and delivered a relentless and brutal beatdown, ultimately forcing Daredevil to escape by jumping out of a window to save his life. This initial confrontation subverted expectations that Daredevil, a highly skilled martial artist, would have the advantage in a physical fight against a non-superpowered crime boss. Kingpin's surprising strength and resilience far exceeded Daredevil's initial assessment. Furthermore, Daredevil's motivations during this encounter, driven by a desire for revenge and potentially to kill Kingpin, might have clouded his judgment and tactical approach. The sheer brutality and decisiveness of Kingpin's victory in their first live-action confrontation established him as a truly formidable physical threat, even against a hero celebrated for his fighting prowess. This defeat was crucial in setting the tone for their ongoing rivalry within the series and underscored the dangerous nature of underestimating Wilson Fisk, delving into the circumstances of these encounters and highlighting why they defy typical expectations. Silver Sable, the leader of the Wild Pack, is a renowned mercenary and expert in various forms of combat and weaponry. While not possessing superhuman abilities, her extensive training, exceptional agility, and keen tactical mind make her a dangerous opponent, though specific documented instances of Kingpin definitively defeating Silver Sable in the provided materials are absent. An examination of their respective capabilities and broader trends within the Marvel Universe suggests scenarios where such a defeat could be considered surprising. A fan poll indicated a belief that Kingpin would likely win against Silver Sable, suggesting a closely contested matchup where his victory, while perhaps not entirely shocking, wouldn't be a foregone conclusion. Given that even characters with less defined skills have, on occasion, managed to gain the upper hand against Spider-Man, it stands to reason that a highly trained individual like Silver Sable could also face defeat under specific circumstances. Furthermore, Black Cat, a character with notable agility and combat skills, is considered to have a 50-50 chance against Silver Sable, while Kingpin is positioned as a more significant threat, implying a potential power disparity favoring the crime lord. In a hypothetical confrontation, Kingpin's sheer strength and surprising durability could overwhelm Silver Sable's agility and tactical approach. His strategic acumen might also allow him to orchestrate situations or exploit vulnerabilities in her plans, leading to an unexpected victory. The vast resources and intricate network at Kingpin's disposal could further provide him with an advantage in outmaneuvering the skilled mercenary. While a definitive, surprising defeat of Silver Sable isn't explicitly detailed, the interplay of their established abilities and typical narrative outcomes suggests a scenario where Kingpin's victory, especially without relying on elaborate schemes, could be seen as unexpected given Silver Sable's formidable reputation. Elektra is a highly skilled assassin, a master of martial arts, and a deadly wielder of Sei. Her agility, stealth, and lethal combat skills often place her on a level comparable to, if not exceeding, Daredevil's. It is therefore surprising to learn that, as indicated in the provided material, Elektra was under Kingpin's thumb for a while, and served as his top killer for an extended period of time. This period of servitude suggests a significant, albeit perhaps not physical, defeat of her will and autonomy. Kingpin's known manipulative tactics and persuasive abilities could have played a crucial role in swaying Elektra, particularly if she was in a vulnerable state, or if he offered incentives that appealed to her. Financial gain or the perception of a strategic advantage might have motivated her temporary alignment with the crime lord. The fact that Elektra's loyalties were tested when Kingpin ordered her to assassinate Ben Urich and Foggy Nelson indicates a conflict that Kingpin initially managed to navigate, further highlighting his surprising control over the formidable assassin. Elektra is typically depicted as a fiercely independent character, often operating outside the bounds of conventional morality, but rarely submitting fully to the will of another, especially a figure as overtly criminal as Kingpin. Her willingness to work for him, even for a duration, stands in stark contrast to her usual portrayal as a free and often rebellious agent. This instance underscores Kingpin's capacity to exert influence and control over even highly skilled and independent individuals, demonstrating a power that extends beyond mere physical strength. Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, is a master of martial arts hailing from the mystical city of Kowloon. He possesses the extraordinary ability to channel his inner chi into his fist, resulting in devastatingly powerful punches. Given his exceptional fighting prowess and potent mystical abilities, it is surprising to learn of an instance where Kingpin gained the upper hand through manipulation. According to the provided information, Iron Fist was revealed to be a mole, acting under duress because Kingpin was threatening his family. This betrayal deeply affected his allies, particularly Shang-Chi, due to their shared history with Danny Rand. Consequently, Kingpin managed to compromise Iron Fist, rendering him a liability to his own team. Kingpin's knowledge of Iron Fist's personal life and potential vulnerabilities, such as his deep connection to his family and perhaps his responsibilities to Rand Industries, likely provided the leverage necessary for this manipulation. The threat posed to his loved ones forced Danny into a position where he had to compromise his principles and betray his comrades, a strategic defeat achieved not through physical combat, but through the exploitation of his emotional attachments. Iron Fist's mastery of martial arts and the immense power of his chi-infused fist would typically make him a formidable opponent in any direct confrontation. Therefore, a defeat predicated on manipulation and threats against his family, rather than a physical overpowering, is particularly surprising given his capabilities. This instance emphasizes Kingpin's keen understanding of his adversary's motivations and weaknesses, enabling him to secure victories through methods beyond brute force. It also illustrates the human aspect of even powerful heroes, who can be made vulnerable through their emotional connections and the safety of those they care about. Luke Cage is a hero renowned for his superhuman strength and virtually indestructible skin. His remarkable resilience and immense power make him incredibly difficult to harm or defeat in a physical altercation. The provided material references Luke Cage as part of a team of street-level heroes who mobilized against a daredevil possessed by the Beast of the Hand during the Shadowland storyline. While the snippets do not explicitly detail Kingpin defeating Luke Cage during this event, the chaotic circumstances surrounding Daredevil's corruption and leadership of the Hand presented opportunities for Kingpin, ever the opportunist, to potentially exploit the situation to his advantage. This could have led to Luke Cage and other heroes being subdued or strategically disadvantaged amidst the widespread turmoil. Furthermore, the material suggests that in the comics, Luke Cage becomes mayor after Wilson Fisk, implying a prior power struggle or conflict where Kingpin might have initially held a dominant position. Snippets also hint at a potential future scenario in the MCU where Kingpin, having risen to the position of mayor, could target Luke Cage's criminal control in Harlem, indicating a potential conflict where Kingpin's political authority could effectively defeat Cage's influence. Given Luke Cage's extraordinary durability, a defeat at the hands of a non-superpowered individual like Kingpin would necessitate exceptional circumstances or Kingpin leveraging a very specific weakness or exploiting a particular situation. During the Shadowland event, the primary focus was on Daredevil's descent, and Kingpin's involvement might have been indirect, yet still impactful enough to contribute to the temporary incapacitation or strategic setback of heroes like Luke Cage. Similarly, Kingpin's potential future as mayor could allow him to utilize legal and political instruments to undermine Luke Cage's standing and authority, representing a defeat achieved through strategic maneuvering rather than direct physical confrontation. This scenario underscores Kingpin's ability to capitalize on volatile situations and potentially employ political power to overcome even physically superior adversaries. Jessica Jones operates as a private investigator with notable superhuman strength, durability, and the ability of limited flight. Her resilience and sharp investigative skills often lead her to confront darker, more grounded threats within the Marvel Universe. The provided material identifies Jessica Jones as one of New York's most powerful active heroes, whose return, alongside other defenders, is perceived as a threat to Kingpin's established dominance over the city. This suggests a past or potential future conflict where Kingpin might have managed to overcome her. Furthermore, it is mentioned that Jessica Jones was investigating a case connected to Kingpin during his tenure as mayor, implying a confrontation where Kingpin's combined political and criminal power placed her in considerable danger. The snippet alludes to Kingpin potentially having eliminated other private investigators, underscoring the significant threat he poses to Jones. Kingpin's demonstrated ability to manipulate events from behind the scenes could readily lead to Jessica Jones being outmaneuvered or even framed for crimes she did not commit. His extensive network of criminals and corrupt officials could overwhelm her investigations, leaving her isolated and vulnerable. While possessing considerable physical strength, Jessica Jones might be susceptible to Kingpin's psychological tactics or threats directed towards those she holds dear. Given her inherent strength and resilience, a defeat at the hands of a non-superpowered individual like Kingpin would likely involve him strategically employing his intellect and vast resources to negate her physical advantages. This scenario highlights Kingpin's untapped capacity to utilize his criminal and political influence to pose a substantial threat to even powerful heroes like Jessica Jones, demonstrating that not all defeats manifest as physical subjugation. This villain might seem like a joke at first glance, but don't let his goofy appearance fool you. The elephant has superhuman strength and durability, making him a formidable opponent in hand-to-hand combat. He's also surprisingly cunning and resourceful, able to hold his own against some of the strongest heroes in the Invincible universe. I mean, the guy's called the Elephant. You'd think he'd be all about brute force, but he's actually got a pretty good head on his shoulders, or at least where his head should be. He's even had a redemption arc. Who knew an elephant-themed villain could have such depth? This guy is a genius-level intellect with a bit of an environmentalist streak. Okay, maybe streak is an understatement. Dinosaurus is so committed to protecting the environment that he's willing to cause mass destruction and death to achieve his goals. He's like Captain Planet's evil twin brother. He can transform into a freaking dinosaur, and he's not afraid to use his powers to wreak havoc on anyone who threatens the planet. He even blew up Las Vegas to restore the Nevada desert to its original state. Talk about extreme measures. This Viltrumite warrior is the definition of a bloodthirsty warmonger. Conquest takes sadistic pleasure in conquering planets and enjoys inflicting pain on his opponents. He's incredibly strong and durable, even by Viltrumite standards, and his brutal fighting style makes him a terrifying opponent for anyone who crosses his path. This guy is like the ultimate bully, except instead of stealing your lunch money, he's conquering your planet and breaking every bone in your body. He's got a serious superiority complex and a love for violence that makes him one of the most feared Viltrumites in the galaxy. This interdimensional mastermind is like Rick Sanchez with a serious anger management problem. Angstrom Levy possesses the ability to travel between dimensions and has a vast knowledge of alternate realities. He's also a skilled manipulator and strategist, able to outsmart even the most intelligent heroes. But what really makes him dangerous is his vendetta against Invincible. After Invincible accidentally caused him to become disfigured, Levy swore revenge and has been a thorn in Invincible's side ever since. He's like that ex who just can't let go and keeps popping up at the worst possible times. Invincible's own dear old dad takes the third spot on our list. As a Viltrumite, Omni-Man possesses incredible strength, speed, and durability. He was initially Earth's greatest protector, but his true mission was to weaken the planet for a Viltrumite invasion. Talk about a family betrayal. His brutal battle against his own son left a lasting impact on Invincible and the entire world. It's like finding out your dad is secretly an alien conqueror who wants to enslave your planet. Not exactly Father of the Year material. This former hero turned villain is one of the most complex and fascinating characters in the Invincible universe. Robot, initially a member of the Teen Team, gradually revealed his ruthless and calculating nature. He possesses a genius-level intellect and a vast network of resources, allowing him to manipulate events on a global scale. His transformation from a trusted ally to a manipulative and dangerous adversary makes him one of the most compelling villains in the series. It's like watching your best friend slowly become a supervillain mastermind. Talk about a trust issue. Taking the top spot on our list is the ultimate Viltrumite powerhouse, Thrag. As the former Grand Regent of the Viltrum Empire, Thrag possesses unmatched strength, durability, and combat experience. He's a ruthless and cunning leader who will stop at nothing to achieve his goals. This guy's basically the Viltrumite version of Superman, but with a serious god complex and a penchant for violence. He's so powerful that he can take on Invincible and Omni-Man at the same time and still come out on top. Thrag's sheer power and unwavering determination make him the most formidable villain in the Invincible universe.